Well, hello there, and welcome to a different video. Welcome to Naval Action Alpha Test. Now, before we get going at all, I'm going to say this is in fact, an alpha test. Not all the game features are in. Bugs are present, and honestly, though, I don't really notice any. I think the game actually plays really well. But everything you see, you should keep in mind that this is an alpha test, and it's very early stages of development, even if it does look pretty good. Sure, the UI is a little questionable, but that's not the priority right now, and I'm glad it isn't. The priority should be getting the game to play the way they want it to, and they're doing a pretty good job, in my opinion. The Naval Action test it plays really well, in my opinion. It's not a game I really grind on a lot, where I'm just playing game after game after game, because as you'll see in this clip, and it's a clip, it's not the full game. The full game, I think, was about an hour long, but I've cut off a little bit in the beginning, some uninteresting things in my opinion, and I don't actually survive the whole time, but it's still a very exciting and tactical game. I think the big thing about the draw for this is that I've always been a fan of naval combat simulator type games, like much how War Thunder and World of Tanks are tank simulator games. I've always been very interested in boat and ship simulator games. And this is definitely sort of the first game where I've seen this level of detail paid to the ships, this level of detail given to the way the wind, the way you can use the wind to travel around, how to do things. This map, Storm, or the Storm map here, where the waves are a real issue, and there can be situations where you can get stuck. There were times when I got stuck in a trough of a wave and I just couldn't get out because I couldn't orient the ship anymore, and it was very difficult. But it's not a game I really grind a whole lot, just because the games are super duper long, and I've struggled to commit like maybe a whole entire hour to one game. There's other things I have to do that come up, so I try and get one game in a day. Now I would say most games, at least where I'm at, or at least for PvP, are maybe 30 minutes to 45 minutes. I mean, I only have a brig, but I'm almost to my snow. But someday I'll get to bigger and badder ships. A nice little broadside right there. I'm not the smallest ship in this game, but I'm pretty close. I'm certainly not a priority target. And as far as I can tell in this game, the strategy seems to be identify the other team's biggest ship, attack their biggest ship aggressively, and defend your own largest ships. So I believe in this game we have some, HMS Victories. I'm not sure. But you can see what I mean right there. The wave, I fired a one shot as a ranging shot, and it actually hit the wave in front of me, so it gave me zero information, but I just decided to fire the whole broadside when I was at the top of the wave, so I had a clear line of fire. It also takes a very long time to bring down ships. Because one of the game mechanics is you have sort of 3 repair packs, you could call them, and you can use them on any of your critical components or on your ship armor. Armor being like, I don't know exactly how it's described, but armor, let's say that. And you can sort of repair some of your armor, not all of it, but a good portion of it. And that means that the ships are actually a little more durable than you'd think. And also, the larger ships appear to have more armor and have maybe thicker wood paneling and things like that, or maybe they have, I don't know, some type of metal layer to them, or whatever it is. They also have bigger and more powerful guns. I'm just sailing around this brig that has 8 guns on the side and 2 rear-facing guns. That ship there, I believe, has 37 guns per broadside, and it'll have guns in the front and the back. So it's a fairly potent ship if it catches you on the broadside. What's happening here is I'm doing my best to just kind of find my way around here, avoid taking hits, and you know, hopefully survive, because the game is kind of breaking down into a very chaotic thing right here. But because I'm a smaller ship, I am going to make the decision that I need to stick around and protect our larger ship right there. So I've loaded double shot, which is basically just 2 cannonballs, and it does more damage at close range, but it has very significantly reduced range, which means you know, you can't shoot it as far, which is a little bit of an issue. But at these ranges, I can get the guns up enough to really give them a real broadside. Now, the key tactical thing you want to do is keep the enemy ships off the stern of your bigger ships. So, for example, these guys are getting on the stern of our big ship. So, my move here is I'm going to try and put myself in between his ship and the enemy ships and try and unload some broadsides. I quickly changed that idea when I realized that he's turning to sort of face them, so he doesn't need me to be in between him and them, because he's going to be showing them the side and likely firing his own broadside. So now I sort of just turn in line with him so that we can both fire our guns and start really hurting these guys. But my goal is to do as much damage as possible, disable as many guns as I can, and hopefully survive. But really just be a nuisance and try and protect our bigger ships. And we got another broadside ready. Gonna fire it in. But the waves. See, the storm map, it really changes how you have to play, and it's fun. It's really cool. The idea that the waves are kicking your boat around. You lose gun elevation when, like for example, if you have full sails and you're going with the wind, or maybe the wind's pulling you to one side, your ship will sort of bend to one side, and then those guns can't actually reach a target that is well within range. So first shot there went low, so I aim a little higher, send the full broadside. That was this nice little damage hit there. And the kind of the way the progression in this game works is at this stage in the alpha is you do damage. You know, every time you hit an enemy ship, you do damage. And then that damage is tallied up, and to get the next ship, you have to do a certain amount of damage in the previous ship, or the previous ships. So, for example, to get my snow, I need to do, I think, 30,000 damage in the brig. Which it sounds like a lot, or maybe doesn't sound like a lot, but usually I think I average between 2,000 and 4,000 damage with my brig, depending on how long the game goes and how long I actually survive. And here is the enemy, one of the bigger enemy ships. So he's a priority target. We want to kill him. Not at the risk of losing our big ships, but when he's like this, we're kind of swarming around. We have a large ship going behind him. We have a medium-sized ship ahead of him, much bigger than my ship, and one of our other larger ships ahead of him, off to the right. Now, this isn't the best place to be. I am preparing to accept a full broadside from this guy if he chooses to lay it into me, and it looks like he might. So I kind of decide I'm going to turn into him and try and just get behind him and get away from his broadside. Or maybe, but it was debatable. I mean, I'm obviously not the priority target here. It's going to be our, I believe, Victory to the front, or else it's a Bellana or whatever it is, but I believe it's HMS Victory. But so this guy right now, he's in a pretty rough spot, and there goes his broadside at the Constitution next to me. I believe it's Constitution. I can't tell the difference between the Constitution and the Trichomely or whatever it is. So I'm going to assume it's a Constitution. But he's in a rough spot because we're all just sort of crowding around him, just firing broadside after broadside into him. And this is kind of how you take down the bigger ships. You just slowly swarm them until you just pound them. One strategy is to knock off their sails and then just shoot him up from the stern, just rake him over and over again. And I'm trying to avoid running into this that looks like the Constitution. Or I'm trying to avoid running into him, because ramming is the thing, and I have seen some very comedy rams. I saw a Constitution hit a Bellona in the side, like full on at full speed with the wind, and he just knocked the ship clean over, just completely capsized the ship, which was amusing to say the least. I think the enemy ship was just about sunk anyway. I think it was taking on water, and because we had been crowding it for millions of years, so it was toast. But he just rammed it and then went right over it. It was amusing. It was really funny. So now the enemy ship has sort of gotten through our little blockade there, but he is showing his stern to everyone. And our large flagships are going to be getting in position to give him another broadside. But so far, like I said early on, this game plays exactly, I think, how a naval simulator would play. It's slow. It has slow-paced action because ships are, well, like slow and stuff. Usually the way the battles sort of develop is everyone sort of lines up in the beginning behind the biggest ships, and then the ships that can reach each other will just start firing broadsides and harassing each other. Excuse me. Maybe firing chain shot or whatever. One team will decide to press the issue, and usually it's the team that wants to try and get upwind of their opponents, so that if the opponent wants to come to them, they have to turn into the wind, which means they won't go anywhere. And usually I found that the assaulting team, as I'll call them, the teams that turn to charge the enemy, so to speak, generally take a lot of damage on the way in, but if done properly, with the larger ships leading, can break apart the enemy formation and really cause some issues. But it's entirely predicated on getting in close and loading your broadsides with double shot, and almost like the large ships escort all the other ships into the battle, and then it's just a free-for-all at that point, with the advantage being that you have the enemy's sterns and forwards while they have to turn to deal with you. But in this game, we did outnumber the enemy, but we didn't outnumber them in terms of in the big ship category. We outnumbered them in the fact that I think we had a brig and a cutter or something like that more than they did, which honestly in this game might have been insignificant. So I'm kind of here just causing issues. I'm just doing damage as I sail around. They can't really, if they ignore me, I'll just rack up damage. But if they decide to shoot me, they could probably knock me out. They could probably knock me out in one broadside from some of these ships. Certainly one of the victories. But this guy here, my broadside's just about loaded. But see what I mean? I'm trying to raise the guns, but the wave was pushing me down. So sent that one, and now I'm trying to sort of sort through the chaos that is this battle. We have an enemy, two allied ships ahead of me passing each other. There's another ship behind the allied Constitution. There's this enemy, either Trichomely or Constitution, that is sort of in the mix and going to be attacking one of our larger ships there, either the Victory or the Bellona, or however you say that one. I'm trying to avoid running into this ship here, but it's very chaotic at this point. But there is actually tactics and strategy going on here, which I find amazing. What's kind of happened is that we've formed a mini line here, and we're just going to start hammering some of these isolated enemy ships, because it'll be very difficult for them to deal with us the three of us all firing at him at the same time. We're safe from the enemy flagship ahead of us because he's facing the wrong way. And this guy has now lost his one of his masts, which is an issue for him if he wants to travel anywhere. And I'm just waiting for my broadside to reload so I can give him another one. And there are lots of different like shot choices. You can load ball, double, chain, and grape. And I have used grape before. It was near the end of the game. It was a tight game, and I was up close with a snow, and I loaded grape to hopefully try and board, kill all of his crew and board. But he was kind of ready for that tactic. He had double shot loaded, and he kind of just blew my ship apart when I got close to him. And I tried to initiate the board early. I mean, this was one of the early games where I kind of didn't know how to board. So I kind of just put my ship alongside his, rammed him, and then tried to board. But he was able to turn away from me. And even though if I had been able to finish the board, if I had been able to initiate the boarding, I think I would have won because I had maybe 30 or 40 more crew members than he did. Because I had been graping him and he was losing crew members very quickly. But he was able to sink my ship just by blowing it up. Now I don't want to get rammed by this guy because he has a much bigger ship than me, and it's unlikely I'd be able to do enough damage to sink him just via ram. I'd probably get sunk at the same time. However, I don't want to take any hits from him, so I'm trying to dip on the waves and avoid a full broadside from him. But it doesn't appear that he has one loaded, so I'm gonna sneak another one in here. There we go. Just taking some good hits. And now we have an allied frigate ahead of him who's going to be firing into his front, which is actually really weak now. You can tell by the little armor layout in the upper right there. You can see that the blue bar for his front armor, which is to the right, is almost completely gone. His starboard side is mostly gone. His port side is fairly strong, and his rear is fairly strong, I believe. So now I'm on his rear. It's a Constitution. I'm going to give him a nice broadside in the buttocks. And this is an enemy flagship, so I'm going to give him one as well. Granted, you know, I'm not tremendously effective against him, but I am annoying, and as long as I'm here, I can still cause some issues. There we go. Those two frigates just passed by each other and gave each other some serious broadsides, that's for sure. Sinking ship ahead of us. I don't know if that's ours or theirs. Put another broadside into... We have two ships sunk on... Or two ships sunk in the game, one for each team. Both, you know, substantial ships, like... three-masted frigate type ships. So this guy though is kind of in a really rough spot. It doesn't appear like it looks like he's gaining water based on how his ship is angled. It looks like his starboard side is gaining water, and soon he'll be sinking. And it doesn't help that I'm just continually putting shells into him. He does fire a broadside at me, which is a little unfortunate. I take some decent damage there. My sails are a little torn up. But right now my goal is just to keep pounding this guy. I can tell by, I mean, when you look at that, you can see how the side of his ship, when the wave goes back, is going to be way up in the air. That's probably because his starboard side is taking on water. And it looks like, is that him dead? Not yet. See, he's definitely listing to the starboard side there. He's pretty much dead. Very unlikely he'll be able to do anything about this. So I'm just going to keep moving, get around more so on his side, and just make sure he goes down. But we have two allies dead and one enemy dead, and this guy is very close. And I believe he's sinking now. Yeah, he's definitely sinking. Rip in peace. But now it's important. I need to regroup with the rest of the team. I need to find our larger ships and regroup and basically now systematically go through and eliminate all the enemy ships. because their ships are heavily damaged, and now the battle is sort of spread out so much that we should be able to sort of mass on one target. And we also just have way more ships than they do. So it's, I misspoke, it's actually 2 dead enemies and 1 dead ally, and we had maybe 2 or 3 ships more than them. Granted, those 2 or 3 ships we had more are small ships, but still, we're making a difference. But now we have all these ships ganging up on the 2 ships over here. I believe, yep, that's a very large ship that we've got over there. The enemy ship off the starboard. And the ship off the bow is no slouch either, but it isn't nearly as big as whichever ship this is ahead of us, or ahead to the right. Oh, was that a very honorable ram? Might have been. But I'm just sailing along here. I'm going to try and sail up next to him, give him some broadsides. There's an enemy ship behind us. And I believe one of our flagships is behind me there. I believe he's going to turn and start shooting at that guy. Now we're getting to close range, loading double shot, loading grape, loading chain, whatever, and we're just going to keep pounding this guy until he sinks. Another enemy ship over there who's definitely worse for wear. He looks like his sails have been severely damaged, and undoubtedly he has some serious ship damage as well. Not going to be able to get the guns up high enough here, but yeah, double shot takes a lot of elevation to make any distance with. But now I'm loading ball shot so that now I'll be able to hit him. But the ball shot from my guns really isn't tremendously effective, so I still want to close and try and get in close to put some double into him and hopefully not be the center of attention. Because all these other ships are much better at dealing with large ships like this. They have larger guns in their arsenal, and I just have, I think, 6-pounders. I'm not sure. I'm not sure of the caliber guns on the brig. But now, I said I loaded ball. Now I've switched back to double because I realized I'm going to be getting in kind of close here. There's an enemy frigate and an enemy flagship ahead of us. Poor allied sloop or cutter, I think a Lynx or whatever it is getting hammered by that guy. No, I don't think he's sinking yet though. I think he's hanging in there. But this frigate off the port is kind of in serious trouble. It looks like he's gaining water. His stern is about to get raked pretty hard. And I'm going to be coming up alongside here and giving him my own broadside. Yeah, he's definitely gaining water on the port side. You can see how his ship is sort of listing that way. And I'm kind of just chasing around this flagship, staying behind him. See, now he fired a broadside. That must have hurt. But I also want to keep ahead of this guy's guns so that he can't get some free shots in. His stern armor's gone. His port armor's almost gone. And I think he's going to be bowing out here before too long. His broadside goes over me because of the waves and the fact that his port is listing. He's listing the port so hard. So he's basically done. And now I'm out ahead of him, and we have allied ships just pounding him. So now the priority is this flagship. And it's a tough cookie to crack, but I am behind him. So I'm going to reduce sails, turn against the wind, or turn along the wind, and see if I can't get a broadside into his stern. Very nice. Now, obviously, It'd be even better if I had tons of guns. When a enemy flagship gets your stern and starts unloading on you, you'll definitely feel it. And hopefully I don't get broadsided here. That would not be good. Taking a hit from something. And there goes the enemy ship there. He's sinking pretty heavily. I think I'm like collateral damage here. I think someone's shooting at our flagship behind me and they're hitting me instead. Or maybe it's like after the shell travels, went high, went through their sails and riggings and stuff, and then came in off to me. Ooh, taking hits. Taking hits. There goes one of my masts. I'm gonna need to use, I've already used 2 of my repair packs, and I'm using my last one on my mast, I think, to try and get some kind of sail back. Because not having sails is actually like really bad when you're in a ship like this. Ships don't move very well without some type of power. So I got some of my sails back. That was nice. Means I'm not dead in the water, but I am gaining water, which is not the best. Gonna give it a little more elevation, get some shells into him. But this, oh shit, oh no. Very sad. I didn't see that guy. Did apologize. A brig ramming into your stern isn't the worst thing in the world, and I think that guy understood that. I just didn't see him. I almost avoided. But now these guys are going to come up alongside this ship and just pound away. And we've got this game pretty securely won. I am taking on water here though, so I'm switching my crew to the survival mode. There's 3 crew modes: sailing, gunnery, and survival. I usually have my guys on either sailing or gunnery, depending on which one I want more of. But when you start taking on water, it's a good idea to have them on, on survival, so that they start bailing water and things like that, and getting water out of the boat. And you can see that the water level of my ship is going down, which is good. Using my binoculars here, my periscope, or whatever it is, to kind of get a feeling for what's happening. And what's happening is that we've sort of formed a line around this flagship. So I'm gonna try and get my guns up. Oh, using that backside of that wave might have been able to do it. Didn't aim very well, but I think I hit him with a couple of them. And now I'm loading ball because I don't want to get in close, because if I get in close I'm likely to be obliterated. So I'm just gonna kind of wait off over here, not go anywhere, and just sit behind our flagship, who can take all the hits for me. And this is the part of the game, something about Naval Action that's kind of true with other games as well, is that it's very clear when a team starts winning, because they can just amass their firepower much more effectively, or whatever, they had better sailing tactics, or whatever the reason is. It's pretty clear, and there are some very good, I guess, captains in this game who really know how to use their ships and know how to use the sails properly, because you can actually manually control these sails to help you get out of sticky situations. Now that's an enemy, I believe, Constitution or Tricomalee. I never know the differences. But we are wolf-packing really hard on these enemy ships. And I would like to get in there and help, but I also kind of need to keep myself safe, or else I'm just going to take a broadside and just start sinking. Because I'm out of repair packs, or repair whatever, supplies, whatever you want to call it. So if I start taking serious hits, I'm likely to sink. If my pump breaks, I'm going to go down. Oh, we avoided that one. And here comes this frigate here. Gonna give him a broadside, but once I do, he's gonna have my side if he turns and if he wants it. So shoot him! Oh, he's turning. This is not good. So I decided to turn the opposite way to try and keep my side on him. And he's going to unload on me. Ouch, 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 ouch. Immediately switched the crew to survival. He did basically knock out an entire half of my ship. And I am going to start taking on water. And there goes an enemy ship that's sunk now. I believe that was the last enemy flagship. And as you can see from the little in the bottom left there, the blue rising in the sort of compass means I am taking on water, and I have my crew on survival, which means I am gonna be sinking here. Trying to use the rear guns to shoot back, but to no avail. Yep, you kind of know when you start sinking. Gonna have to call abandoned ship, get the boys out. But so far, just from playing this game, the community playing this game is really, really cool. You know, a lot of people who either are knowledgeable, or really enjoy the game, and are willing to give out tips and say, you know, hey, try this. This works really well, and just a very, very good community building around this game. And it is a very fun game. I can't wait until we see more development from it, but it is, I mean, it's in alpha, keep that in mind, but even in alpha, it's a fairly polished alpha. I really like it. The only thing they probably have to work on is UI and maybe some ironing out bugs, but really I haven't seen any bugs. I haven't seen very many, so, you know, very good game, very fun, and I'll certainly be covering it on this channel every once in a while, definitely on content updates or big changes, things like that. And looks like we're going to get the coup de grace here. Ouch, 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 ouch. Return a broadside. But yeah, that's basically done me in. Gaining water fairly quickly. The armor of my ship is basically reduced to 0. The stern is doing fine, but the port, starboard, and bow are really struggling. So the water is very, very quickly seeping into my ship, and that's going to be it for me, basically. But this game would end in a victory. I think I ended up doing, by the end of it, I did about 5,000 damage. It was a good game for me. I mean, there's other ships that did over 20,000 damage, like some of the bigger ships. I think there was a frigate who did somewhere in the neighborhood of 23,000. That's incredible. Or somewhere in that ballpark, unless I'm mixing up games. But it was an incredibly fun game. I really, really enjoy playing this, and I try and get maybe a game or two a day. It's not something I can grind, but it's something I can definitely enjoy playing. Try and get one last broadside in, and there I go. My ship is sunk. Rip. Now, what would go on to happen here is actually our allied ships would go and board the ship towards my stern, and the other ship would get sunk. So, very fun game. I hope you enjoyed watching it. I hope if you're playing this, I hope you're having a good time. If you're watching and thinking about sort of joining this alpha test, I hope this has given you an idea of what you can expect from it. But remember, it is an alpha, there are bugs, but it's still a really fun game, and I really enjoy playing it. So, anyway, thanks for watching. I've been Corny Swiss, and I'll see you next time.